Welcome to the Thought Brothers. It's indictment week. It seems like every week's indictment week, but I'm Gary Johnson, aka Mr. Producer. We have all the hosts with us this evening. We got Dr. Bryson. He's somewhere in some federal protection program. Perhaps, I don't know. He won't tell us. We got the agitator down there and the researcher. And we got the banker. The banker has been traveling, and we're going to toss it over to the banker, Carlos. You've been away, but you come back. You've seen the world. You've seen the country. Give us a pulse check. What do you have, Carlos?
Come on, man. Hey, look, you know August is a Hall of Fame month, man. You got the NFL Hall of Fame. You got the NBA Hall of Fame. You got that local world's greatest historical Black high school in PG County, Fairmont Heights High School, got their Hall of Fame. It's Hall of Fame month, man. But suddenly the tide has turned. It is now indictment month. Indictments are coming in left and right. They're coming in, man, from Georgia. They're coming in from the north, the south, the east, the west. Come on, man. What we indicting Trump on today? What's the latest? Mr. Spivey, what's going on down there, man? What you got for us?
Well, the latest one, I think was earlier this week, was down in Fulton County, Georgia. And this one is kind of an unusual one because it's a RICO indictment. And, RICO has kind of been reserved for mobsters. But the lady down in Georgia, Fannie Willis, she's kind of got a lot of experience in RICO. So she decided to go with the RICO statute. The thing that really I guess would be of a concern versus the one here in Washington, D.C., is that she indicted Trump, but she also indicted 18 co-conspirators, and she got 30 unindicted co-conspirators. And it's going to be interesting because, one, Georgia allows cameras in the courtroom, where D.C. does not. And so it's going to be interesting to watch the shenanigans with Donald Trump and his lawyer and 18 other people and their lawyer. I guess they're going to have to do it in a cafeteria somewhere because the seating is going to be unbelievable. But the thing that's going to really be crazy is, we talked about on the show last week about this. It's being ridiculous that they're talking about they may not be able to complete these trials before next year, November the 8th. And, we were saying that's ludicrous because you are now in August? And so you're talking 5 months until the first of the year. And then you're talking another 11 months. So you're talking 16 months. I can't see where it would take 16 months to try anybody, but you can rest assured this case down in Georgia with the RICO statute and 18 defendants, it's going to probably take 2 years to try because, and you think about it, 1 month, if Donald Trump's lawyers file a motion and 18 other lawyers file a motion, every motion has to be heard. And they probably can't all be heard on the same day. So this trial could drag out. So that's where we are right now, is down in Fulton County, Georgia with the latest. It's going to be interesting. It's a RICO case, and the RICO statute carries a mandatory penalty of 5 years. And it's kind of hard. The judge doesn't have any latitude to work around that. So if he's found guilty, it's 5 years. But our buddy Gary Johnson thinks that he's going to jail, but I think they'll find some workaround with this mandatory 5 years, simply because, you and I have agreed, Carlos, in the past, there's two sets of people in the world now, the haves and the have-nots, the rich and not so rich. And the rich just don't go to jail.
I agree with that. Come on, Gary. What's up, Gary? Talk to me, man.
Call me crazy, man, but the Secret Service, man, they can do shifts at Rikers. They just come in and punch in, man. Do they, come on, man. 7 to 3, 3 to 7, and 11 to 7, man. It's just another shift. But look, you 18 co-conspirators, you assuming, man, that all 18, somebody, they got to have a trampoline in there, man. Somebody going to be flipping. Somebody going to be squealing and turning themselves in and singing, man. I just don't think we're all 18 going to hold out.
Hey, now at that point, I agree with you 100%. Everybody's playing bad now. Everybody's gangster right now. But when you start getting out looking at 5 years, mandatory, not they can't work around it. You're gonna find out how many of these 18 are willing to go to jail for Donald Trump for 5 years.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be people beating at the door. But on the same hand, Gary, keep in mind, and I'm sure you're familiar with Rico too.
Yeah.
These 18 may not have a whole lot to offer. So it may be hard to get a deal.
Man,
hey, let me hear from Doc, man, because hey, Doc, man, look, I don't know if you watched the show Power, man. What's that? Power Book 2 Ghost with was it Tyreek? The original Ghost. They be talking about the RICO law and the RICO charge and how he trying to be the next big thing. And hey, man, I think what's going to happen, Doc, and you tell me if it's possible. I'm coming to you for a medical perspective. I think concerning all these indictments, all these RICO charges or whatever they got going on for Trump, I think Trump is going to have his lawyers delay the trials and court cases past his normal life expectancy, so he never has to go to court. He's 77, so it's safe to say if he can delay the trial for at least 20 more years, he's probably never going to go to jail. Doc, is it possible, as a medical doctor, is it possible for Trump to delay these indictments, these charges, to get him past his life expectancy? Doc, take it away. Come on, Doc.
Man, no question, that's the play. Let me back up and share something with you. I was doing trying to take a page out of Bill's book and doing a little research before the show on the prosecutor. What's her name again, Bill?
Fani Willis.
Yeah, Willis. And she was involved in the case in Atlanta dealing with the school teachers. And as I was reading through that, and there were a bunch of Black women that went to jail. But the thing is that in this case was in basically 2015. Do you know there's still some of the folk who are appealing? Their cases haven't totally made it through the court. So we're talking, that's 7-8 years right there. So I'm sure what you guys alluded to before in terms of the long game with Trump, and part of it is this judicial system that we have, and I'm sure his lawyers were pled to the hilt. So we'll be lucky. Hell, I'll be lucky. I had a birthday since I saw you guys too. But
happy birthday! Hey,
I'm probably will have at least 10 to 15 more before this trial is seen the finish line. So if he can hold out, which I doubt, because again, going back to that trial in Atlanta with because they had like 30 something people in that, but 20 took a deal. But the main person was the superintendent at the time. She died from breast cancer before she even was brought to trial. So it's I think we're in for another long one. So buckle up, sit back, and get your popcorn ready.
Good Lord, man. Hey guys, let me ask you real quick before I let somebody take it away. Gary, here's a question for Gary. Yeah. Then I'm gonna go to Mr. Spivey, then I'm gonna go to Doc. Gary, you from DC?
Yep.
If a brother from Southeast DC had an indictment for anything, what are the chances of him just walking away or never going to jail?
0. I'm sorry. What is 0?
Mr. Spivey, you from down there in Virginia, man, from Newport News area, Virginia Beach area. Hey, if a brother from down there gets an indictment for anything, what are the chances of him not going to jail at all?
I would say whatever is below 0. Because I'm gonna say this.
Oh my God! Hey, Doc,
I don't think there's a brother on this earth that could be indicted and it would take 18 months to try him. I'll put it like that.
If a brother gets indicted, he just gonna be in. He'll be in jail serving time while he's waiting for his case to take place. Doc, I'm gonna go coast to coast on Doc. I say, Doc, what's the chances of a brother from the Bronx in New York, or Brooklyn in New York, or Compton in California, or LBC where Snoop Dogg is from, getting indicted and not going to jail?
Well, it has to be. Let me make an exception here. Do you guys remember the brother who paid the debt at Morehouse? I think his name was last name was Smith. I can't remember his first name, but he subsequently
the developer. The developer.
Yeah. He subsequently was indicted for tax fraud. Now, he didn't go to jail, but you're talking about the richest black man in America, basically. So Carlos and fellas, if you got the cash, and there are only probably a few people that have that kind of money could get away, but the average Joe Blow, straight to jail. And even I think we've even changed talking about an indictment, because I hear white people mention indictment and they say, but he hasn't been proven guilty. He's just been indicted. But to us, it's almost like going to the doctor and they say, oh, you just have cancer. Well, we know what the outcome for most of us are with a diagnosis like that. So I'm equated to being told you have cancer.
Let me tell you something.
He has terminal.
And Doc, I really appreciate that perspective, man, because that's really what you're talking about. Like I said, the other 99% of black men and black people in America, or 99.9%, ain't got the cash to get their way out of the situation. So that makes it double jeopardy. Being a minority and not having the financial resources to get yourself out of trouble. You need OJ money to get yourself out of trouble. I mean, I ain't saying he did it, but I'm just saying you need OJ money to get yourself out of this, and you need Johnny Cochran. And right now that ain't happening. Johnny is no longer with us. Rest in peace, Johnny. But I mean, it's almost a ridiculous situation. There are two sets of laws or two sets of legal systems in the country. People may not want to acknowledge that, but it just happens every day. You see it. Look, if I had a group that stormed the 7-Eleven and they linked me as the leader of the group that stormed the 7-Eleven, I'm going to jail. Trump has a group that's linked to him that stormed the U.S. Capitol. And Trump ain't never done a day in jail himself. So I'm just saying it comes down to a lot of different factors. But at the end of the day, I don't believe Trump ain't like Chris Rock said, ain't nothing going to happen to Trump. So I will believe it when I see it. That's a sad statement in America today. Like he's always saying everything's sad. It's sad because, if you are of a certain, ethnic group, or if you're a certain financial status in this country, I don't want to say you can almost get away with anything, but like you said, they can work the laws, meticulously to make sure that they can be working brilliantly to their advantage. And, most people don't have that advantage, whether you're white, black, or whatever you are, Latino, whatever, Asian, whatever. Most of us don't have that ability to work any law or system brilliantly to our advantage. So, whoo, man.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then. What about the judge in DC? Mm-hmm. Is she going to hold him accountable for all of these statements that he's making that potentially threatening the jury pool, threatening people, making these statements about the prosecutor, even about the judge? And she's warned him, and the other judge, they've warned him, and he just keeps talking. Are they going to let him do that? Or are they going to just say, you know what? Come on in here, Mr. Trump, and maybe give him, 3 or 4 days in jail, or threaten his lawyers to give them some time in jail. What do you think?
Well, Gary, from what I've heard about this judge, she's presided over many of the trials of the January 6 people.
That's right.
And she is known not to be an easy judge.
That's right.
And I don't think that she's going to continue to condone Trump's actions. There's a few things here that really troubles me. Number one, and I think I mentioned it the last week in our discussion, whereas if it was anyone else who was being indicted in DC that day, the prosecutor would have asked that you not even be given a bond. And Trump was a flight risk. There's a lot of protocol, and you know what I'm talking about. A person of his means, when you go before the judge, if the judge is going to release you, the very first thing that you have to do is surrender your passport.
Yes, sir.
He was not asked to surrender his passport. And that kind of was astonishing to me. Not only could he would not even have to go to the airport to flee the country. He flew in for the indictment on his own private plane. So he was not asked to surrender his passport. Secondly, if you recall, he put Obama's personal home address out on the internet, and one of his followers was arrested 2 blocks from Obama's house with weapons and explosives.
Yep.
And so, I'm surprised that he wasn't even considered to be held. But I think if he continues with this rant and this raid, I think Judge Chunkin will throw him in jail. I don't think she will hesitate for a moment. Doc, I want to throw something at you that I've heard recently. They're talking about which they're planning to use for defense, that Donald Trump really did not believe or did not know that he had lost the election. So that's why he continued months and months after the election was over to continue to say that he did not lose the election, because in his mindset, he did not know that he had lost the election. Where I have a problem with that is, you're talking about a man who was the president of the United States, the commander in chief, and you're telling me he does not have the capacity to know when he's lost?
Definitely, Bill, because I agree with you in terms of, I've also heard about his state of mind. That's going to be the key. What did he believe at the time he was making the statements? And I don't know, man, if I revert back to some people, I guess if you hear something enough, you start to believe it. And I think sometimes with Cowboy fans have sort of been an example of that.
Oh, no, you didn't go there.
You went there.
No, you did not go
there.
So state of mind is the key. The state of mind is the key. So it's gonna be interesting. But it's hard for me to believe that he did not understand that he lost the election. And again, with these tweets and some of the other talk shows have talked about, he's been indicted to a large extent because of the tweets and the things he is saying. I mean, that borders to an average person. We would say there's some psychosis involved there, but I think I'm hoping that they will get a psychological evaluation. Probably not, but I would be very interested in to see what the psychological evaluation would say on him, because I think even before as president, we saw he was narcissistic. And so he probably has a mind that I couldn't even begin to comprehend how his thoughts would lead him to believe that he won.
Okay. With that being said, I don't know how much more we can talk about Trump. I think the key with this one is to stay tuned day by day, because it seems like every day something's breaking. And I think we just need to stay on top of this one, day by day, week by week, until, he finally gets to trial sometime in 2029 after he's been president again. So
Come on, man.
Hey, look, I'm a Democrat, right? But my man Joe is a little old, about 5 years older, or what? I don't know what he is in Trump.
He's 80. He's 80.
He's moving a lot slower every single day. I like Joe, and then his son ain't helping the situation out none with the legal troubles. And it's really hard to say. Being a Democrat, it's like, damn, I like Joe. He's a tough guy, he's a tough old guy. He's been around, he's paid his dues on Capitol Hill, all that good stuff. He's Obama's vice president for 8 years, so that gets you some points right there. But his son, man, his son has some serious issues. And I'm sorry that his other son passed away. I think it was with brain cancer about 5-6 years ago. Yeah. And I think that really affected his decision to run for president when Trump was running, okay? And then now, it comes out about his other son with the addiction problems and, now not paying his taxes and all types of crazy stuff happening. Now, look, this can happen to anybody, right? I think we got guys like in the NFL, like Andy Reid, who had a son who's dealing with addiction.
Yep.
And crazy stuff happen. Hell, we all know people who probably have gone through addiction and had some crazy things happen for friends and family. So I think it's, can happen to anybody. So, but I think the biggest issue is someone once told me who had no political experience, really didn't have too much work experience. There was a young person who said, well, we expect more from our leaders, don't we? Just a natural reaction, right? We expect more. Like, it's okay for the employer to call out, but it's not okay for the employer not to pay the employee on time. You follow what I'm saying? Like, if your paycheck ain't there, oh, that's a problem. We don't care if you had an issue at home or something was, you need to pay me on time. But if you're the employee, it's cool to call out. And you know what, I still expect my benefits, even though I didn't come to work 3 days this week. But anyway, we expect more from our leaders. So I just think that we got to open the door, man, and let some of them younger leaders, man, get in there, because we talking about a guy, Trump, 77, Biden, 80. And, they've been around for a while, even though Trump has gotten into politics within the last 10 years, he's been around forever. So I think we just got to we need a president, man, in their 40s or 50s. I'll be honest with you, it's the world's toughest job. It's the most stressful job. We need somebody who's ready, who can burn the midnight oil and have a little endurance. I still don't believe as good as shape these guys are supposed to be in. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger in his 70s is still in better shape than Trump or Biden at 80. Okay, I believe Arnold Schwarzenegger would probably have a better physical endurance being president of the United States than either one of the guys we're talking about right now. So I think at some time we have to say as a people, enough is enough, man. And put some new people in there. I never liked Chris Christie. He's a Cowboys fan. But you know what? If I had to choose between Chris Christie and Trump, I'm choosing Chris Christie. Come on, Chris, open them beaches up in New Jersey. Come on, man. You know what I'm talking about. But that's where I'm at right now. What do you guys take on some new superhero politicians? What can we do, man?
I mean, but politics is such, all the good people has so much common sense. They're like, why would I want to get into that game?
Why would you want to be involved with these people anymore?
Why would you want to get into that game, man?
I'm going to tell you something my wife said to me the other day. She said, when you're 70 years old, you ain't supposed to be working. You're supposed to be retired by then.
Right.
And you're supposed to be sitting at home, But, what you said is something that Republicans will hang their hat on about Biden's son and his problems that he's having, and it doesn't look good, and he shouldn't be running for president. And what I say to that is, it's exactly what you said. It's Biden's son. But on the other side of the coin, it's nobody's son, nobody's wife. It's Trump's ass.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
We all got people, there's an old saying, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family.
That's it.
That's
okay, true. So, we all got family who you might want to say, hey, I don't want him at the cookout. I don't want him at the family reunion. But on the same hand, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. And as I've said before, with everything that's going on now, we are always here reporting on foreign countries, what's going on with Israel, what's going on with China. And we now got this young kid who's apparently defected to China, and they're going to charge him with treason. We always talk about these other countries and what's going on there. I'm sure these other countries' news media are reporting the sad state of affairs here in the United States with a president and a contender to be president in November that could possibly be elected while in jail. That's a sad state of affairs. And I brought it up last week. Another sad state of affairs is you have men, a lot of Black men who have gone to jail on felony charges or whatever, and they don't even have the right to vote. But you have a guy who has got 4 indictments, could get convicted on all of them, and be a felon, but you can still run for president.
Mm.
You can't vote, but you can be president.
Mm. Woo!
That'll be a topic for next week. I don't care, because by the time we get off and finish filming, there'll be some more breaking news out of Georgia.
They got to turn themselves in by what, the 29th? So
25th, I think.
25th.
I think it's 25th.
Yeah, we got to stay on top of this, man. We laugh and we joke and have fun with all the topics we talk about, but it's a pretty serious state of affairs. We're talking about this man was once the leader of our country.
Yeah.
There's a possibility he could win again. Like you said, a guy who's been a convicted felon can't vote, but this guy might be convicted on all these different counts and still somehow manage to be president again. I don't know, man. We just got to stay on top of it.
Can you imagine having him becoming president again and going to England to meet with the prime minister, going to all of these other foreign countries, and they say, "Oh, the convicted felon is coming over this week. We got to prepare dinner." It's really sad.
It makes us look bad, but let me throw this out here. I saw a picture of the co-conspirators, and I saw I think it was one black and one black male and one black female. Now, I wonder if their legal fees will be paid by some of these PACs that are supporting Trump, but I kind of feel sorry for them. And I understand that they had approached a poll worker or someone involved with an election person, and actually they are. I just feel sorry for them because I can only imagine what it would cost, what they're going to have to pay to defend themselves. So,
wow.
Well, Doc, one thing I'll say to you is, you can rest assured the Republicans will not be paying their legal fees. And I was shocked when I saw the pictures. I happened to be in the kitchen doing something, and I was listening to MSNBC, and I saw him bring up all the people in indictment. And I saw this guy, his name is Ford or something like that. But then I saw a black woman beside it. And I'm saying to myself, you got two black people indicted in this RICO thing, and we all know, and I'm going to be saying right out front, they had nothing to do with the inner circle, because we know Donald Trump would not have had no black people in on the planning of trying to, throw the election or change the results of the election. So your answer to your question, I'm certain the Republicans will not be paying their defense. And if anybody goes to jail, you can rest assured they're going on this 5-year minimum.
Man, well, I'll tell you, all right, guys, well, if that does it with Trump, you know what my next topic is? Hey, man, why my man Michael Orr, the blind side, get blindsided by the people who took him in, man? As anybody, this is news that was breaking as late as 2 hours ago about the conservatorship. And I don't know if you guys know anything about a conservatorship, but basically Michael Orr from the Blind Side movie, right? A teenage kid, a black kid taken in by a white family. I think it was Tennessee, even though he ended up playing at Ole Miss. When they took him in, it appeared that he was already, I guess he was an 18-year-old senior in high school, because they keep making mention in the articles that I've read and in the news that I've heard that they couldn't legally adopt him because in Tennessee at the age of 18, I think in every state in the country at the age of 18, you are considered an adult, except Alabama. You got to be 19. We'll talk about that later, all right? But anyway, but 18, you're an adult. So even though he was a senior at age 18, they took him in. He was a homeless kid, obviously a great football player. And they took care of the guy. They got, they got his mother to even agree to this, since they couldn't adopt him because he was a legal adult. The conservatorship basically gives someone the ability to make legal decisions for another person who's an adult, who's not a family member. They got his mother to sign off on it. I mean, I think what it comes down to is, why is the conservatorship? Michael Orr, according to what I've learned, he was 18 years old in 2004, right? So that would make him born in 1986? Okay, well, it's 2023, okay? So what's that make him, about 37 years old now? So if he's 37 years old, why did they still have a conservatorship over him at age 37? Like wasn't it enough to help the kid in high school, help him go to college? And then when he's off on his own, he got his own job, he can take care of his own self. Why don't you let that man just handle his business, right? I mean, but this conservatorship didn't end after high school, didn't end after college. It didn't even end after his pro career, because it looks like he played pro football from, I think, 2005. It could be. He won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens, yeah.
Okay. I think his first year in the league. So maybe he, I'm thinking 2004. So maybe he went 4 years of college. Was it 2012? The Ravens won the Super Bowl again, I think, somewhere around there. And he played until, I think, about 2017, 18, something like that. So he didn't have a long NFL career. 6, 7 years, I think, is what they said. But that Blindside movie, they said, made over $300 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he's saying, from what I've read, he didn't get a penny of it. That the family got 2.5% off $300 million, and a couple of the kids got 200. A couple of the kids, I guess, they grew up with them, or their siblings, they gave $225,000 a piece to each of the kids, and then the parents got 2.5% off $300 million or something. And they've been writing books and making other money-making ventures. And then also, I'm still trying to figure out if they were managing his NFL paychecks, because they had legal rights. They had the conservatorship. So now a lot of this stuff is coming out. So I got to ask you guys, I mean, is this a good deed that turned ugly for a good family? Or did a good family see the NFL potential and the money-making ability in a young black man who could push people a block with one shove? And also, they went to Ole Miss, or at least the father went to Ole Miss. So there was something that said they need to get that. They tried to justify the conservatorship is because if Michael Orr went to Ole Miss, and the family didn't have the conservatorship over him, they would have considered the father as a booster giving gifts to a recruit. Okay. So place to live, car to drive, clothes, food, money, they would have considered that an NCAA violation. There was also in an article I read, several football coaches who were trying to recruit Michael Orr said that the family was acting as a booster to get this kid to go to Ole Miss because they thought he was great. And that they were exactly doing that. They were basically saying, come on into my house, come into my home, but we want you to go to Ole Miss. We want you to go to Ole Miss and we'll take care of you. And it sort of goes on and on. So who's at fault here? Is Michael Orr just an individual? Now, I'm assuming, based on what I heard, it looked like he graduated from college. I'll have to do some more work on that. So if you graduate from college, I'm going to assume that your intelligence level has to be that a little bit higher than maybe the average blue-collar worker who doesn't graduate from college. So is Michael Orr the victim? Or is it, I believe the family's last name is pronounced Tui? Or is it Tui family the victim? Let me start with Doc. What you think down there, Doc? What's going on with Michael Orr on the blind side? What's happening?
Now let me clarify this by saying I don't know all the details, so you've given me some more information than I had. But part of it is, I remember watching the movie, and part of it is, yes, it's his story, but part of it is about how the family took him in. So part of it is their story too, in terms of from a humanitarian standpoint. That's how I would, in part, look at that. And I can only imagine if they are making money, they do have, to me, a legitimate claim to say, well, a large part of this story is about what we did. So I wouldn't want to totally dispound what they've done, but it involves a little more looking into. And hopefully just looking at the young man, and part of it is too, my opinion is based on what I saw in the movie. So I don't know how, the real truthfulness of everything, but for someone to take another kid in, I don't care if it was for sports or what, because I know some people who are doing that for sports right now. But I do have to, in terms of the family that you mentioned, repeat myself, but I have to give them some credit for what they've done. And if they're selling just their story, then so be it.
Okay, appreciate that, Doc. Hey, Mr. Spivey, what you think? What's going on down there with the blind side?
One thing with Doc, that I admire. He always tries to see the best of everybody. you know, hey, I got a mind that thinks opposite. I think that these people took this guy in because they saw potential. And I know from the movie that the mother she tutored him, I believe. And she continued to tutor him when he went to college. And, if this was a good deed that they did, well, why did they have to continue the good deed after he started playing pro football? I mean, as Gary said, as you said, or you alluded to, this was a grown man. And he's been out of the NFL now for probably over five or 6 years. So why do you still maintain a conservatorship over him? And if your intention were that you saw that this might be a goose that laid a golden egg when you initially got your hands on him, and he did turn out to be a goose that laid the golden egg, and you were getting what you say 2.5% of what he was making, why are you still trying to take money away from him when he's not making the same amount of money anymore? So I look at it a little different than Dar. I admired his family for taking him in, but what was their long-term goal in taking him in?
Interesting. Gary, what's going on? What you think?
I didn't see the movie. I don't know enough about it to probably comment and sound intelligent. I know who he is as a player. I know he played with Baltimore. But that's about all I know what I've read. So I'm not sure if I'm qualified to comment on this one.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep, I'll be the football correspondent, man, and keep this thing going. But I'll keep you guys posted on this one. I think that, in a weird way, I'm sort of like a cross between Doc and Mr. Spivey, because at some point, what the family did, hey, man, you took a kid in who was homeless, 18 or not, legal age of being an adult. I mean, he's still a kid. I mean, he's still in high school at that point.
Yeah.
And he had no place to live. So they gave him an opportunity to have a roof over his head, good food to eat, play football, their support, etc. Okay. So I think from that, right, that's a lot of their story. So I understand that. From the flip side, I don't understand why the conservatorship was just agreed to a couple hours ago, or maybe on Monday or something, just this week. For a 37-year-old man, they're going to release the conservatorship at this point. Is his earning potentials over at this point? Is obviously over as a player. He's been out of the league since I think 2017, so 6 years. Are they making Blindside 2? No. So it's sort of like, at some point, why wasn't he given the ability to be his own man? Why were you still being having a conservatorship? Now, if you told me he couldn't go to college, he couldn't, he didn't have the intelligence to be a college student or possibly even graduate, and I'll even check on that, but I think he did. Maybe if you tell me he has some type of disability, you need to be, a conservator for him, then that's a different story. But it doesn't appear those are the cases. So I don't know. We're going to have to monitor this closely, because I think the key is, I was just saying this at our Hall of Fame ceremony for our high school, for Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association, the high school Hall of Fame that we hold annually, that at some point, football is going to end for everybody. Okay. So even if you make it to the pros, it's going to end for everybody. Whether you play 4 years of high school, whether you play 4 years of college, whether you play a couple years in the NFL, it's going to end at some point for everybody. So are you going to have the same enthusiastic friends and family when you're not playing as when you are playing? I don't know. So I think that's where the twist comes in at. So I would like to know, I'm going to do a little bit more research and follow the money as well to see where Michael Orr, what his net worth is. I'm also going to try to follow up and see what the Tui family, I think I'm pronouncing that correct, what their net worth is. And just to see, if there's any other underlying information, because I literally was doing research this afternoon, and it seemed like the articles, there were several articles popping up all over the place. LA Times, New York Times, ESPN, Yahoo Sport. I mean, they just kept CBS, but it kept popping up. So it's like new information kept popping up every minute. So I think we'll find out more about this, but I think the moral of the story is you can play whatever sport you want, but you better learn how to manage those books in your personal finances. If you don't know who's going to take advantage of you. It can be a family, friend. It don't even have to be your enemy, because right, you're normally on guard against your enemy. You're not on guard against your family and your friends when it comes to protecting your finances. So I'm hoping he's not a victim, and I'm hoping he's okay, because he already had a pretty rough childhood. And it looks like the Tui family was okay before he got there. They're going to be okay after he left. But always I'm a little bit more concerned for the athletes, because I think it's almost like a situation where they go from nothing to greatness back to nothing sometimes. And that's a sad state of affairs for it to be almost used. And then, then you're just all by yourself, So I hope that's not the case. I hope Michael Orr is still loved by everybody. I hope the Tui family is loved by everybody. I hope there's a lot of love in the world, but man, it's a weird situation considering this thing went as far as making a movie that everybody in the world seems to know about the story. And now there's a blowout. There's a blowout, whatever you want to call it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I remember the movie. Sandra Bullock, who grew up in Arlington, she played the mother.
How about that?
Carlos, you're the banker, and think about it. You said he made $300 million over his career.
Well, that's the movie.
If they were getting 2.5%, that comes out to be about $70.5 million. So how much more do they want?
Well, about 7.5 million. Yeah, but
7.5 million. So you
and that's not including the book deals or anything else.
And the movie.
Public speaking.
Yeah, all those different things make a huge difference. And we talk about that amount of money in the areas that we live in. How far does that go in Tennessee?
Oh yeah. But we did it. You remember we did a podcast on athletes who went broke.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we did that, maybe 3-4 months ago.
Yeah,
but, it was less than that. It was about maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, we did a podcast on that, and there was a whole bunch of athletes that have gone broke. But not to change the subject, but you called me the agitator. So
all right. Agitate.
Here we go. Here it comes. Here we go.
So I'm going to tell you, two of y'all, Doc, you number one, you started it with the Cowboys. And then your buddy down here, Carlos, who I don't know whether he's still a Washington fan, because he was talking about packing his bags and loading the car up and going to Pittsburgh.
I was.
And ended up with Michael Thomas. So I don't know where he is. He probably somewhere in New Jersey on the way back. but you and Carlos, something happened the other night. Washington was playing, I think it was Cleveland. And I wasn't even watching the game. And I happened to come downstairs and my wife said, the game is on. I said, yeah, I'm not watching those scrubs. So I said, how much time left in the game? She said 3 minutes. And I said jokingly, whoa, 3 minutes. They always lose a game in the last 2 minutes. I said, so they should lose. Well, lo and behold, make a long story short, I'm in the kitchen and I heard her say, oh my God. And Cleveland scored. And the score was 15-17 with 1 minute and 20 seconds left in the game. And so ended up Cleveland went for 2. And fortunately, they didn't converge, because the game would have been tied. And I don't even know if they go into overtime during the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I said to her, I said, same scrubs, different owners. You got new owners, but you got the same scrubs. But I'm going to do a little agitating here now. And I'm going to read something to you. And I want you and Doc, you Redskin. No, what are you? Oh, now you command. You commanders right now. I want you Commanders fans to comment. Here's the article. The name of the Washington team playing, the name of the football team playing in Washington is once again under question. A group called the Native American Guardian Association, NAG, I think that's the abbreviation, NAGA, is demanding the Washington Commanders changed their name back to the Redskins, organizing and getting a petition of 90,000 signatures. As the NFL franchise represents the nation's capital, you have the distinct opportunity to recognize the history and value of the American Indians. The letter continues. This is the same group that said the Redskins' name was offensive and forced Dan Snyder to change the name. And now they're coming back with 90,000 signatures and want y'all to be the Redskins again. Dallas would never do nothing like that.
It ain't gonna happen.
Talk about Dallas. Y'all been dogging me about the Cowboys. And it even goes on to say, disgraced former team owner Dan Snyder changed the organization's name in 2020 after years of pressure, beginning in 2020 and the 2021 season with the name the Washington Football Team before opting for the Commanders in 2022. So, I know you all lose games in the last 2 minutes, but y'all came and make up your mind. You can't make up your mind what name you want. And then when you went and got the name of the Commanders, you changed the team's name to the Commanders before you even got the patent on the name. And then you found out you couldn't get the patent. So now you're going back to the Redskins. You think about it. I'm going to say this. 10 years, you done had 11 quarterbacks. And you had, 9 coaches. And so now you can't get the name straight. I done agitated. I'm done.
All right.
Let me interject this quick.
Go ahead, lay it out there, Doc.
I think when you start hearing things like that, I need to go back and find out who are the leaders of these groups. They probably had a change in leadership. They saw that there was money to be made by getting in, by being agitators. And I think that it's probably a money grab somewhere. But hey, we're moving forward with the Commanders. So Redskins, that name is dead and gone.
Oh, these people want the name back. This is
but
group of Indians. It's called NAG.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen.
Native American Guardian Association.
Whether it's Commanders or something else, it ain't gonna be Redskins again because NFL just don't want to go through that headache because you satisfy some and you don't satisfy others. The reason they went with the Commanders name, which nobody seems to like, is the fact is that it doesn't reference a particular ethnic group or even a particular person. It basically patronizes a position, a commander. Okay, generally we talk about a military commander. Okay, right. Which is relevant to Washington. I think we'll see if that name sticks based on the patent. If it doesn't, they'll find something else. But I think the key is we got a new owner. Let's give the guy a chance. I think that's where I'm at. If Dan Snyder came back, I was going to Pittsburgh. The car was already packed. I was ready to go head towards Western Maryland into Pittsburgh. I was ready to go. But I said I don't think Trump's going to jail. I said I thought Snyder was never going to sell. Okay, so Snyder sold. Maybe Trump will go to jail. I don't know. Anyway, but I'm just saying, give the new owner a chance, man. You got to give the new owner a chance, man. You never know what's going to happen, man. And I can tell you right now, I know the new owner wants to make changes, but he bought the team 2 weeks before the preseason. Summer practice started. He can't do anything but watch this first season. In the off season, I guarantee you, it's gonna be a lot of changes. And I think some of the changes you're gonna probably see is one, if the name goes, then he has to go through a new rebranding process. If the name stays, I think he's going to try to get a logo instead of just a W on the side of the helmet, right? Something has to make sense with the Commanders logo. You just can't call a team of Commanders. If I think Commanders, I'm thinking fatigues, green and black or something like that. I'm thinking Army fatigue colors. I'm thinking maybe even red, white, and blue. I'm not thinking, burgundy and gold with a name like Commanders. So he's going to have to come up with something to make that work.
Well, give the
guy a chance.
This letter was addressed to the Commanders leadership group, including new owner Josh Harris and Magic Johnson, as well as the head coach Ron Rivera, with these 90,000 signatures. Well, so they're asking that the name go back to the Washington Redskins.
And Trump's been indicted 6 times, but I'll believe it when I see it. You know, I believe it when I see it. That's where I'm at. And you can say anything, you can make any accusations, you can make any charges, but I believe it when it actually goes down. You can say Dallas is gonna win the Super Bowl. I believe it when it happens. I mean, that's just where it goes.
Hey, let's we got a few minutes left. Let's talk about the wake-up call. These are my words. The wake-up call for Black America down there in Alabama, Montgomery. I mean, it looked like Black folks came together, man. My man, the security guard. I mean, I don't even know if I think he was boat captain, I believe.
He was a co-captain of the boat.
Yeah, co-captain, yeah. I mean, he's just doing his job. And these people didn't want to move. I guess it's the epitome of white privilege, I guess. And what has gotten me is that the number of white people on social media who are defending the brothers and sisters who came out to defend their boss and their co-captain. They're like, man, I've seen many people on TikTok and social media saying, man, these white people were wrong and they got what they deserved. You know, I mean, when my man tossed his cap up, that was the bat signal, man. And then Scuba Gooding Jr. came across, jumped in the water, you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And did you see the brothers on the dock skipping? They were skipping on the way to the brawl. And then, of course, my man with the chair, he took it too far. He got arrested. But, I mean, it was like a unity call. And it just rolled across Black America, man. What are your thoughts?
One of the things I looked at a 26-minute news conference that was held by the chief of police, and he laid out some details that I had no idea. This boat apparently came up to dock in its normal space at the docks. They waited out there for 40 to 45 minutes attempting to get the pontoon boat to move. And they were talking to them over the loudspeaker from the ship saying, we need you to move the boat so we can dock and let these 200 people on the boat off. And they were met with, and almost his exact words were obscenity, gestures, and profanity for 45 minutes. Well, another boat with the kid, a smaller boat, pulled up to the big river boat. And the co-captain got off and got on that boat and went to the dock. And he was in the process of moving the boat 3 feet for the riverboat to dock. And and unfortunately, the boat's named the Harriet Tubman. He was trying to move the boat 3 feet to pull it up. And that's when these white boys decided they were going to jump the brother, the same ones that had been shooting the bird and cussing. And they said that when they were talking to them over the PA system on the boat, they were responding with racial slurs.
Oh, okay.
And they went to the FBI because the captain of the boat wanted to say it was a hate crime. And the FBI, of course, said, no, they didn't consider that a hate crime, even though they were using the N-word and shooting a bird and refusing to move the boat. So I did not even know that this went on 45 minutes before all the action started. And they got a whipping. I mean, and one of the people on the boat, Aquaman or whatever they call them, Scuba
Gooding Jr.
He was on the boat and he jumped in the water off of the riverboat and swam all the way to the shore to help the brother out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people, man, is getting tired of craziness, man. You know, I think they really just, look, everybody wants to go about their day and enjoy their day, man. Nobody wants to go through a bunch of nonsense. But when you see someone get attacked, I think there's so much outrage that at some point people just said, I think in this situation, people said enough's enough. And they all came to the guy's rescue. And, you know, look, and, you know, we talk about a lot of the issues that affect Black America. And yes, it usually involves, you know, unfortunately, some people who may be of a different racial background or, you know, white versus Black, et cetera. But I love everybody, man. I think we all love everybody, but we don't like jerks. And
Right.
sometimes based on your financial makeup, based on your position, based on whatever it is, your political, whatever it's causing a division. And usually you don't see the same treatment when it comes time to actually police people or keep people in line. You usually don't see the same equal treatment. And that's what really drives people crazy. So I think in this situation, there was a bunch of Black folks who said, I'm not going to wait for the police to get here and make things right. We're going to make it right, because if we're waiting for them, it ain't never going to happen. So they took the law into their own hands, and the rest is history. And I think this will be going down. I mean, I was in Las Vegas on public transit, and there was a lady bragging about, y'all seen what happened in Alabama? She's talking about, hey, y'all see what we together now. She was like, I was like, oh, I thought we were going to start marching or something in Nevada. And I was like, I wanted to say, we're not in the deep South, we're in Nevada. But anyway, she was very loud and proud about the moment. So, hey, man, hopefully we all work these things out. We all come together and everything works out for everybody. But we'll see.
That's it.
Drinking and boating is a bad combination.
Right?
Hey, I said my man Doc disappeared.
Yeah, he disappeared on us, Doc, a couple times, man.
Oh, outside.
I heard a lady, it was a white lady, as a matter of fact. And her exact words were same as Doc said. She said, you went out there on the water, you were doing a whole lot of drinking, you were listening to Jason Aldean. What is this about the song? Don't let it happen in a small
town.
And you came back and you got your ass whipped. Those were her exact words.
Wow.
Oh,
man.
Everybody knew about it, because the next day, and I put this on my Facebook post, I was coming out of one of the big box stores, and there was a pontoon boat blocking the garage where people go for pickup. And I just walked over there. I said, let me see if this social experiment works. I walked over there. It was 3 white people on a boat. And I said, hey, man, what y'all doing, man? Y'all blocking the thing with the boat. And the white dude looked at me. He said, hey, partner, just give me a minute, man, but just keep your hat on, man. Just don't toss your cap in the air. He said, he got it. He understood. He said, man, we ain't like them people down there, man. The boat just happened to be in the way, man. We're going to get it out the way. I'm like, nah, man, we good. And we sat down for about another 5-10 minutes, talked about what happened in a non-confrontational way. And they agreed. They said, man, them people were out of line down there. They were out of line on that boat.
They were.
So, I mean, I've always believed we always have more in common than we do differences. We just got to settle down and talk, where we can.
Every time I've heard somebody talk about that, the key word they say, it was a guy just trying to do his job.
Right.
That's what
people respect.
He was just trying to do his job, and they jumped.
And they jumped it.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy.
So,
hey, look, and before we go, man, I wanted to also give a shout out to the people, if anybody in Maui or Hawaii, man, sees the show. But let me tell you something. When myself and my wife heard about this last week, this past week, I said, we've been to Maui. Went to Maui on our honeymoon, okay? And that was back in 2012. And I said, man, and deep down inside, I said, man, I hope it said a little fishing village. I said, man, I hope they don't say Lahaina. We were down in Lahaina getting shaved ice and walking around and enjoying that city. It was a beautiful, we've been there. We've experienced, we've ate food there. We've shaved. I got pictures of us in Lahaina, of Maui on our honeymoon. And something that's deep down said, when they said the name of the city, I said, little fishing village. And sure enough, they said Lahaina. I said, Lahaina, I'm not sure how, but it really hit home. I'm like, damn, I've been there. Like, of all the places in the world you've been, that's 5,000 miles away or whatever it is to Hawaii, or 5,000 miles anywhere. And I know exactly, that was a blue collar Hawaiian town that had great restaurants and places to go for the local community, beautiful marina, beautiful palm trees. It was like their own little world there. And I'm sure, the rich people rolled through. Obviously we didn't stay in Lahaina. We stayed at a resort in Maui, but part of our, driving with our rental car was check out all the key spots in Maui. And that was just one of them. We spent a day down there. So I really feel bad for those people out there, and I'm hoping that they can, rebuild. I know the body count has just gotten higher and higher by the day, but condolences, prayers to the people of Maui, and I'm hoping that they can rebuild their community, and some rich person doesn't come in and try to buy up all the land at a discounted price because of the fire. We want the people. I know personally myself, I want the people of Maui to get their city and town rebuilt so they can go back to that great life they had. And this is a tragedy, but we're praying for them. So just want to send that shout out to them.
Funny, Carlos, you mentioned that. I was looking at the news earlier before we came on, and the death toll right now is at 106. But that was one of the main things that I heard during the news conference is the governor has issued an order to stop the vultures from coming in and buying up all of the property and then making money off the rebuild. So that's not going to happen. They're going to preserve that town. I was fortunate enough to be in Maui too. And my niece's husband, he was from Hawaii. And while we were there, we met with his parents and they took us to that little fishing place. It was just a gorgeous place. It was, my wife said to me, she said, this is a piece of heaven. She said, how would you like to wake up there every day? And it's really, really sad. And, I think they have about 5,000 people who have been displaced, and they're going to do something for about 2,000 of them for 30 days. And then what do you do after that? We did a show last week, and one of the guests on the show, we were talking about Donald Trump and the election and everything. And he was talking about it's just political theater. And it kind of resonated to me because in the same time I was listening to this, I was listening to the president and his wife are going to be going down and touring the flyover of the devastation and everything sometime later this week. And, I said to myself, what are you going there for? Really, I know I'm gonna get all kinds of hits, and Gary's gonna get a lot of dirty texts and messages. But the thing of it is, it's a photo op. I don't know why the president, and you talked about his age and everything. Why is he going to get on a plane? You think about this now. Just kind
of a long flight. I've been
over there many times.
10 hours. That's how long we were on the plane. Yeah. He's going to leave Washington, D.C. He's going to get on Air Force One. They're going to fly to Hawaii. Now, also, you got to remember, when Air Force One flies,
they got an advanced team.
It has 2 jets with it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
You got 2 jets to go with it. Yeah. And then you got Secret Service and an advanced team. They're going to fly over there. I got to figure that trip is going to cost what, $500,000 just for a photo op. Now, I could see if he was flying over there and behind him, he had 2 C-130s with Army Corps of Engineers who are going to hit down on the ground and do the same thing that they did when they went to Afghanistan and build a whole camp of everything. That's $500,000 is what I was saying. If the probably going to cost, what do you think $500,000 would do for the other 2,000 people that they are not going to be able to do anything for?
I agree.
It's a sad state of affairs. And, we talk about Donald Trump possibly becoming president again, after being a convicted felon. And then you got somebody pulling this game. He's going to fly down in Air Force One, get off of Air Force One, get into a helicopter and fly over and look at the devastation. And then fly back, get on Air Force One and fly back. If it costs $500,000 going down, that's another $500,000 coming back. That's $1 million. And what are you going to spend, 24 hours?
Woo, that's tough, man. Let's just say a prayer for the people of Maui. Hopefully it can work it out. And maybe Biden to come to his senses and say, you know what, instead of us spending $1 million to go to and from, maybe we can give it to those people out there. So
no, he's going to do a photo op with a couple of people who done lost their homes. I'm sure we'll see that. Stay tuned and we can bring it up next week, who he does it with.
Hey, like I said, I'm a Democrat, but I will say this. These photo ops and sending these prayers and condolences from political point of view is getting a little old, because we haven't even bounced back to gun violence in America yet. So yep. It's just too many things going on that we need to address. And I think Mr. Spivey put it well. I mean, let's address it a different way. Like Mr. Spivey just solved a $500,000 or $1 million, just came up with $1 million of aid for the people of Maui. And he's not a political consultant. I mean, he just figured that out himself. So I think at some point, we need our leaders to figure out some things and some ways to make life better for some people who are going through something else. So I don't know, man. We don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, but we'll keep tuning in and I guess keep trying to report it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We are the Thought Brothers, and we wish you well until next week. We are out of here.
All right.